Hello and welcome back to Broadside Gaming, me Zug. So today we are carrying on with our Ogryn series, and we finally got something that's like a melee Ogryn. So let's dive in and have a look, shall we? So this is the gun Lugger, and we'll go with the weapons and curios first, as always. First off, the Carsolus pickaxe, my favourite, and with this you want to be blessing it and using the perks, which is damage against flak and maniac. They're the best ones to go for, to be honest, as they're the more widely spread enemies that you'll find. Blessings wise on here, I've gone for Confident Strikes to Slaughterer, just because we're not going to be in melee all the time, and Confident Strikes just gives us that extra bit of help to farm back some of the toughness that we're going to lose, which we will. And as for the gun, we're using the Achilles Mark 7 Twin Linked Heavy Stubber with Flak and Maniac, and blessing wise, Charmed Reload and Blaze Away. Now, I chose Charmed Reload over any of the other damage blessings because it works out that while you're firing, every time you crit, which will be not all the time because you're an Ogryn, your crit chance is quite low to start off with anyway, but with how we've built it, we do have more inherent crit. It's going to keep us firing for longer so that we can keep up the sustained damage. Now, if you don't care about that, you just want damage from the start, then we can always go for something like this, which is Overwhelming Firepower and Death Spitter. Or we can go for something a little like this, which is Overwhelming Fire with Blaze Away. Now, this is going to be much better for upfront damage, but if you want to fire for longer, then I would strongly suggest using Charmed Reload. But do keep in mind that the bullets it loads into the gun are from your reserve ammo. They are not free. Well, not anymore, they're not. They used to be, but not anymore. And that's just going to keep you in the fight for longer and allow you to do more damage in the long run. But if you want burst damage, then obviously go for something like Overwhelming Firepower and Death Spitter, or Overwhelming Firepower and Blaze Away. Now, for the Curios, as always, I'm running the 3 max health Curios with Toughness, Regeneration Speed, Damage Resistance Gunners, and increased max health. So with all 3 of these, we're running at 90% toughness, regeneration speed, and 20% damage resistance to gunners. But do keep in mind, even though we're running the 60% damage resistance, it doesn't quite work out to that. There is quite a heavy diminishing return because of this, but gunners are the main problem at the moment for most people, so I would say put it on all 3. But if you're not keen on stacking health, you can stack toughness, and it looks basically like this. So the blessing will be toughness, and the perk wise you want extra toughness, toughness regeneration speed, and damage resistance to gunners. Now you'll have this in all 3 of them, and well, it works like that. I personally prefer max health because I find it's more sustainable in the long run, as toughness is chewed off you like anything at the moment. But along with a lot of our talents, we can regen it back quite quickly, and the health that we have is going to cushion a lot of that damage, and we're not going to basically die to death by 1,000 cuts. The chip damage isn't going to be too awful. So with all of our heavy attacks and the blessings of the weapon, we can get back toughness quite easily, and the health is going to cushion us while we're doing that. And as always, as we've gone for the Carsolus, the reason we've gone for this is the big old sweeps to help clear out forwards. If we're stuck between reloads, or we're just in a position where we can't really fire, this is going to really help us to get out of that situation, just because of how reliable all of the sweep attacks are. And it is the fastest weapon, so even without taking heavy hitter and going it down into that tree, we're still working quite quickly. Now, as I said in the other videos, if you get caught by heavily armored opponents, there are 2 ways to deal with this, which is the block push overhead, which is right click, then both mouse buttons, left and overhead. So you hold down to block, you keep holding down right, and then you hit left to push, and jab, and then overhead. So right, both, left, left, done. right, both, left, left, done. And also there is the pick pull. So what you do is you stagger them with your extra mouse button, overhead, overhead. So it's your extra action button attack, which mine is bound to my mouse. You pull them forward, hold down for an overhead heavy, and then quickly hit left again for a light attack. Pull, heavy, light. Pull, heavy, light. And that's how you get the most out of the Curios. It's a very fun weapon to use, and it's my favourite pick at the moment. And to be honest, I think it's going to be my favourite for the foreseeable future. So this is how we're building the weapons and the Curios. Let's look at the talents. So we are missing out the best defense and furious, but we are taking smash 'em, replenish toughness on hitting a single enemy with a heavy melee attack. So if we're stuck against armor, this is going to help us. Then we're taking heavyweight for damage against bulwarks, crushers, plague ogryns, and reapers, and also receiving 30% less damage against the same. This does actually translate into our range damage as well, so it's a very nice ability to take. Then up here we've got reloaded and ready, 12% range damage for 6 seconds on reload. This is mostly going to be for when we use our special. So you'll be firing away, and then something awful will turn around. You press F, it reloads all of your ammo, and we get 12% more damage because of the reload. And as you can see, because we have charm reloading the gun, we can actually fire for a lot longer. And then we've got steady grip, 3% toughness regeneration while bracing your ranged weapon. We're going to be bracing the heavy stubber most of the time. Then we've got the frag bomb, which is your get out of jail free card. If there is a large wave that's becoming overwhelming, the frag bomb will deal with that for you. It won't kill crushers and bulwarks because of their insane amount of health, but it will whittle down the entire horde so that you can focus on those and deal with them in turn. And then we're going for soften them up. Enemies damaged by you take 15% more damage for 5 seconds. This counts towards melee and ranged. We're then taking toughness damage reduction instead of just the toughness node. We're grabbing point blank barrage, as you just saw. It automatically swaps to your ranged weapon, reloads it to max, and gives you a 20% fire rate increase and 70% reload for the next 10 seconds. Using the heavy stubber, you're not going to benefit from the reload at all. Your drum will still be full by the end of point blank barrage. And then we're taking bullet bravado while point blank barrage is active. Replenish 2% toughness for every shot fired and 10% toughness on each reload. Again, we're not going to benefit from the reload. And then light them up. Ranged attacks apply 2 stacks of burn while point blank barrage is active. This is actually a massive damage increase. Even though you may think the 30% rending will do all the damage, turns out light them up does far more. Then we've got the reload speed here. Ammo stash increases your ammo reserve by 25%, very useful. Coward culling, 20% damage against suppressed enemies for you and your allies in coherency. We will suppress basically everything we fire at. Jumping over here to the middle for some toughness. Get stuck in for movement speed on ability use. And Bruiser, combat ability cooldown reduction when you or your allies in coherency kill an elite enemy. This is just going to let us use point blank barrage a lot more. And then we come over here for unstoppable momentum, 20% movement speed for 2 seconds on ranged kill. This is going to keep us up with the rest of the team. We have a lot of increased movement speed in this build. Massacre, killing an enemy grants 1% critical chance for 6 seconds, stacks 8 times. This is enemy, so an increase of 8% crit, which is just going to help us a bit. Suppression boost, mobile emplacement, you take 20% reduced damage while bracing the ranged weapon, which is very good because we're going to be bracing a lot. And then down here for range damage and into burst limit override. 8% chance to trigger lucky bullet and not consume ammo when making ranged attacks. Maximum firepower plus 200% ability cooldown reduction for 2 seconds when lucky bullet triggers. More burst limit overrides. Your chance of triggering lucky bullet is increased to 12%. And lastly, good shooting. The shot that triggered lucky bullet is a guaranteed critical hit if it hits. a lot of people tend to stop here and put all of these points down here to make you more... Oh, to make you tougher, basically. But a lot of the penances require you to actually take burst limit override. It's not a bad choice, but for defense and sustainability, you can take all of these points here and put them there, there, and into there. So that would look like this. You're losing lucky bullet, you're keeping point blank barrage and all of your range damage, and you're gaining a lot of toughness. So there is another way to build this if that is how you want to go. For the moment, I'm using lucky burst limit override because I'm farming the penances, and also you do slightly more damage while using this. It's just a little bit tougher on you to stay alive. But yeah, with point blank barrage, if something big turns up while you're just generally dealing with hordes, it reloads your gun, and you can just fire in, set everything on fire, and just keep going. Now, there's one thing I do want to talk about before we go. So, the penances for the Ogryn, most of the penances teach you how to use your abilities and in ways of using them well. But there is a penance here that does the exact opposite, and that is spray and pray. Kill 25 enemies 50 times during a single activation of point blank barrage. This is teaching people to just use point blank barrage whenever the hell you want to and just spray into crowds. That's not really an efficient way to do it. I mean, you can do it that way, and you will kill that horde very easily, but mostly you want to be using point blank barrage on mixed hordes and basically firing through to kill as many of the specials and elites as you can, or to hose down monstrosities. You don't really want to be using this on every single horde you come across because that's an incredible waste of ammo. And honestly, you don't need to. If you have to, you can switch to your melee and just hack through a Poxwalker horde. No big problem. So that is just my personal gripe with that penance. It's teaching people to basically use their ammo in a very wasteful way. But other than that, that's the gun Lugger build for you folks. I will go through it one last time, so if you need to pause and look at it, it's right here. And that's the gun Lugger for you. So if you've enjoyed, and I really hope you have, please do like, subscribe, ring that little bell for notifications. It really does help us out. And I shall see you all for the next one. So until then, take it easy, and I'll see you later.